Recently I saw the film Unity, and I must say it's the most difficult thing I've ever watched. Is a montage of real life events, and there were sickeningly obscene images of violence against man, against animals. Equally, there were beautiful scenes of nature, of people being tender, showing love towards one another, towards other animals. I don't want to talk about the horrible things I saw in the film, and to be honest, I didn't look at very much of that. I would just stare at the floor because I don't want to add to that. I don't want to create violence in myself. I don't want to dwell on that and then potentially manifest that into my life. But I'd like to talk about the opening scene and how it really quite enlightened me. Again, I didn't really see much of that scene. The film came on and I saw two cows waiting in line in a narrow corridor. In front of them was a huge metal door, and you could see the fear, you could see the horror. And they were waiting to die. You could see the steam coming out of there, you know, the breathing out into the cold night air. They were nervously looking around. At that point, I just stared at the floor. I've seen this before, very similar. It might even be the same clip, I don't know, because as I say, I couldn't watch it. On my website, there's a section called Why Vegan? And again, you can see two cows, and they're being herded into this slaughterhouse, and they're so desperate. They know what's coming. I'm not sure how, but they know. And they're desperately fighting, trying to turn around, but they can't, and they're forced into their doom. On my website, I encourage everyone to look at that. If you think, oh, they don't know, like dumb animals, like it doesn't matter. They have the same soul inside them as we do. And so, I say I was watching the film, I was staring at the floor. You heard the big metal door opening, you heard kind of machinery. There's electrocutions, you know, there have been cattle prod used on them to being put where they want them to go. And then the screams and the murder. I sat there in that cinema staring at the floor, and I felt fear, as though I was waiting to die. My heart was racing, it was pounding through my chest, and all I could think was, I just want to go, I just want to get out of here. Those animals don't have the option. The film goes on to say that if you look at the word universe, you see that the two parts, uni and verse, put together, signifies that we're all one. Man, animal, tree. We are the universe expressing itself in different forms, not the same, but equal, all made from a limitless sea of atoms. These atoms are constantly recycled again and again and again and again. For as far as we can tell, almost 14 billion years so far. But what do we really know? Our physical form is made from an infinitesimally small group of these atoms. We occupy a tiny place on a small planet among hundreds of billions of potential planets in our galaxy, among hundreds of billions of known galaxies, potentially limitlessness. We go wrong when we come into this life, forgetting that we're part of a whole. We think we're individual and we develop the ego. Because of this, for 95% of recorded human history, there has been war. Thousands of wars, millions of dead. And for what? Someone had a bit more land, someone had a bit more oil for the short time that they were here. But all the riches, all the power, the status, the fame we accrue while we're here, what's it all for? We can't take any of that with us when our physical form dies. Like each night when we go to sleep, all that remains is what we truly are, conscious awareness. Therefore, there can be only one true meaning to life: to expand our consciousness. If we truly expanded our consciousness, eventually this would mean feeling the suffering of all others in our hearts as our own suffering. I believe that human consciousness is expanding in more and more places throughout the world. Sexism, racism, homophobia, prejudice against physically and mentally handicapped people is becoming less and less tolerated. I know it's not eradicated by any means, but I think as a whole, the human race or consciousness is moving in the right direction. The last type of prejudice most people think about would be speciesism. It's okay to those people to enslave, to rape, to murder, to abduct the children of many different animals, just based on the cultural narrative of the area. It's something that we've just arbitrarily made up. I see many hateful people in this country condemning the Chinese for eating dogs. They'll call them sick and evil and wish for their death. At the same time, they're eating the cheeseburgers, they're eating bacon, they're drinking milk. That calf that was meant to drink that milk has been slain. Those eggs you eat, the male chicks that are not needed by the egg industry, they're murdered the first day they're alive. They're looking for love, they're looking for their mum, and instead they find fear and agony. They're burnt alive or put through a grinder and minced up while they were still breathing. If we wish to effect real change in this world and end all the unnecessary suffering of humans and non-human animals, then we must look inwardly. We must eradicate all the prejudice inside ourselves and then start giving out only love. And love can't be conditional. It must be unconditional, or it's not really love. Our governments tell us to fight for the love of our country, but you can't find peace through violence. You can only find peace through love. I wish everyone would watch the film Unity so we could have an informed opinion on the real consequences of our everyday actions. I wish we could break out of this apathy, stop acting out of fear, and instead choose to act out of love. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time, I invite you to be the change you wish to see in the world.